Hi, folks. Noah Karish again. I want to give you a few ideas today about the similarities to and differences from core bodywork, core fascial release, and Rolfing from the Ida Rolf School of Structural Integration. Because Ida Rolf was a biochemist who decided that she needed to do something different with her life in response to her own pains and the pains of the people around her. So, a bit of my history. I trained at the Rolf Institute in 1985-6, certified in 86. I picked up her book in 1984, I think. And the first thing that really stuck out to me in this book was Ida Rolf saying, "This is the gospel according to Rolf. When gravity gets flowing appropriately through the body, then spontaneously the body heals itself." I thought, how wonderful. This lady says something that no one else is saying. I want to work with these people. So I called the Rolf Institute, said, "Are you for real?" They said, "Oh, yes." And I said, "Can I talk to Ida Rolf?" Well, she was already dead. This was 1984. She had died in 1979. But her words just called me so strongly that I immediately changed careers. Went to this study, and I found it to be wonderful. And for quite a few years, I found it to be really wonderful. And then I started seeing what one might think of as chinks in the armor. So there are things that I agree on coming from the way Ida Rolf wrote and taught and sent her disciples out. There's a lot that I agree on. The first thing is, let's talk about fascia. Fascia, or connective tissue, which I describe almost as see a billion cobwebs that go from every cell to every other cell and through every layer of the body-mind core. So you can see fascia as wrapping muscles, but you can see it as also wrapping in between muscles and wrapping down into the bones and wrapping through the organs and going everywhere, everywhere, everywhere in this billion cobwebs sort of roadmap. I'd Rolf call that fascia the organ of support. I heartily agree. I think that this is the place that we can make the most change in people if we will just work with that fascial network. So that's number one, fascia, the organ of support. The next thing that she said is, it's okay. This is the way I take it. It's okay to poke. It's okay to poke on what you see as a stuck spot. We don't overpoke. And I've been guilty of that. Most of us who are into deep tissue work have been guilty of that. But what you're trying to do is to say, you could let that go. You could let that go. Are you going to let that go? And you try to get people to realize that what they're really after here is to find what is stuck, what is traumatized, what is painful, what is not moving, and get energy to go into and through that place. I totally agree with that concept as well. And probably even better than all of that is her contention that if we just get right in gravity, the world will heal itself. If we just get right in gravity. So if gravity is the therapist and we are just the cheerleader and anatomy coach who's saying, this is what I need you to do, this is how you're going to work, stay in here, stay in here, stay in here, we're all still working on the same page. Now, if you've heard of Rolfing, you also have the knowledge that in the good old days when Dr. Rolf was working, she was a pretty tough old bird. She worked pretty hard on people, and she just would go so deep, so fast that they often felt abused, even though in a day or two they felt freed and enlightened. So she was doing some good work, make no doubts. So those are the big pieces, the fascia network, getting gravity to be the therapist, poking on the stuck places but not too deeply or too quickly. All right. Those are the similarities, I think. We have some differences. There's another similarity. We both work with a recipe, with a blueprint. We both work with the idea that if we take several different sessions to go through a body, we can get more done. Now, here's where we become different because Ida Rolf's series was a series of 10 sessions with very specific formulas for each session. I have a series of 5 with very specific formulas for each session. So we are alike, but we're different because something in me thinks, no, I don't need to be as detailed. I need to spend my time more wisely. I need to budget my time. I need to look at what needs to happen. I need to go for the big pieces, not every bit, every bit, every bit. So that's a change from me. So the 5 versus the 10. The next thing is, Ida Rolf always insisted that people need to be in their underwear when they were getting worked on. I did that. I did that for years and years and years. And one day I was working with a new client who had just come in. She was standing in my treatment room, which was a big room that had high windows. She could see out the windows, but she couldn't be seen. But even at that point, it was clear that she was looking out those windows in a way that's like, is anybody looking? Is anybody looking? She's in her underwear, bra and pants. I'm looking because this is what we were trained to do. What do you see? What do you see? I'm looking, and I said to her, okay, let's see a couple of big breaths. Obviously, what she heard was breasts because she just crumbled. She just collapsed immediately. I caught it right away, what I'd done wrong. And I said, no, breathe. It's all about the breath. I want to see a lot of breath, please. It's too late. She was gone. She came, she had her session, she endured a session with me, and she never came back. And that was the point that I thought, a lot of good body work is about creating safety. If someone doesn't feel safe, they're not going to change. They're not going to allow. They're not going to trust. So for me, the biggest difference is I am always focused on trying to create trust and safety in my patron. I don't even think of them as client most of the time. In my patron or my partner in their process. So if I can create safety, if I can coax safety, if I can instill safety, and if I can get someone to go in and look at their stuck stuff, but stay on that body at a level where they can go, I'm still with you, so that I don't see them making the fists or tightening up or putting their head up into the air, chin to the ceiling while I'm working on them, or tightening their low back, or in some way. No, this work is not meant to be endured. This work is meant to be explored. We don't achieve release. We explore release. So for me, that is a real big difference. And it ties right into the next thought that I have there, which is too deep, too fast, you've lost them. If we cannot find out where a partner can stay in their body, where a partner can still feel a part of the process, if we push them so hard, so deep, so fast, not only are they going to resist us and resist us and resist us, but the next person who comes to them and tries to work with them is going to find out there is even more resistance than there was. So we don't want to go there. So watch out for that too deep, too fast business. Stay on a layer where that partner can enjoy what you're doing, explore what you're doing, breathe into joyfully what you're doing, and try to release it. Whenever we get too fast, too deep, we almost can create what some people call a healing crisis. Emmett, my primary teacher at the Rolf Institute back all those years ago, said, healing crisis just means you were too fast, too deep. In the old days, I bruised a lot of people back when I started. And finally I went, that doesn't seem right. What am I doing here? So I'm very, very cautious with that. Now, we do have the same goals, and we do have different paths. And that's great because they're both good paths. And I'm sure the Rolf Institute has evolved into a different form of body work than it was when I trained all those years ago. And I trust there is great work going on with Rolfers, but I also trust that there's great work going on with core fascial release body workers. So I invite you to look at that. I would highly recommend Ida Rolf's book, first book, small and fairly easy to read and is geared more towards clients as well as practitioners. Ida Rolf talks about Rolfing and physical reality. Now, having said that, I would also recommend some of my books. Meet Your Body, the first one, is just a client book. Freeing Emotions and Energy Through Myofascial Release is a really good one, especially if you are a body worker who wants to look at why do we get stuck. And recently, my last book, and I think this is my last book, please Lord, is the red book. It's called, don't know what the red book is called. Resilience, Finding and Sharing Resilience. Yeah, finding and sharing resilience. Because frankly, that is my goal for the world. And that is my goal for me to learn to be better at fostering resilience in myself and others. Now, while I think that was Ida Rolf's goal, I think that she was a little bit too directed and too egoic. We've all got ego, but if you can get your ego out of things and stay in the exploration mode instead of the achievement mode, I think you accomplish much more for those people who come to see you and seek assistance. So I invite you to play with that idea. Those differences, some are subtle, some are large. I think those differences make my work happy for me, and I hope they make it interesting for you. Thanks.